got hungry kitties waiting out here. We've got a cool morning in the 50s, I think. And I put on a little jacket. And we've got drips of rain. Little drippies of rain. Good morning, Morris. I continue to be able to give Morris the liquid doxycycline antibiotic without any issue. I need to ask the vet how many days she wanted me to do that. We're over a week now. But sometimes they run that for quite a bit, so I need to find out. Hey, Stripey! How's my buddy? Him and Marty are really, for cats, they're really good sleepers in the house at night. They really are. They lay on top of each other, on top of my feet, and we're all good, aren't we, buddy? Aren't we? Don helped me empty the bird bath this morning because we had to carry the water away from the project area. It was really dirty. It had tons of crap in it. And Mama Bluebird is taking a bath in it every day, so it's got to be clean. But we lifted the water off to the side, rinsed it out, and then refilled it. So all good. I will be taking off for usual Tuesday stuff here in a bit. And trying to decide which vehicle to take, which Tesla to take. I am in Ruby. I am driving myself and I am running late. And Ruby's telling me to go through the neighborhood, so that's what I'm gonna do. And after I had some issues with the left turn headed to South Park yesterday when I was working on Starlink. We waited for Case and I for over 5 minutes, and Case was diligently seeing all of the speeding cars coming up over the hill and not pulling out, and everything was good. And I agree when Case went, and I would have pulled out in front of the speeding car also if it had been me, but I had to take over and really give some acceleration and get us out of the way of the car that came over the hill going much faster than they should have. You know, the problem last night was the cars going in front of me to the right, going, you know, away from town, were backed up due to something going on at the school, making it very hard to see. And it was just a disaster. What I'm trying to say is, if I could just remember, I think I'm back to coming through the neighborhood. If I could get FSC to come through the neighborhood. I'm just tired of dealing with that intersection up there until they fix it. And they're really not going to fix us. They're going to fix the school entrance. And then I think what's going to go on at Wagstaff is going to be, our street is going to be even worse. So here's the sidewalks they were working on refurbishing and upgrading for ADA stuff. We saw a couple times last week when I came through, there were cones and things going on there. I already talked about the poor gentleman. Well, poor is the wrong use. I feel sorry for him because he has to take his motorized wheelchair out on Wagstaff with no sidewalk. And I don't think it's right. And I think we should do something to help him out. And upgrading the sidewalks in here is great. But we have a real immediate need for this citizen over on the other street, and I just wish we were helping him out instead. Trying to be very diplomatic about it. I mean, this is fine. This is great. This is even good. But when we have someone with a real disability, with a real need, and we're ignoring them, then this just seems like lower priority to me. That's all I'm trying to say. I realized there was a federal grant, and the town, I think it was federal and not state, and the town is trying to utilize the funds while they exist, and I can't blame them for that. So while having an opinion, I'm trying not to be overly harsh about it. Does that make sense? Anyway, yeah, I'm definitely late getting to the chiropractor by 2 or 3 minutes. It is what it is. I suppose I can make up a little bit on the way. So I tell you what, it's really perplexing for me. I was video editing, and you know, I got stuff to do when I get home this afternoon. Is really important to me for how my day functions, that I get to a certain point with the editing. I need to listen to it, and I need to adjust the volume in the other order. I need to adjust the volume, and I need to listen to it. Hi, Model S. I waved. I'm set. I'm in good shape, except that I needed 5 more minutes. Actually, 15 would have been nice, and then I could have just been done and left on time still. So Dawn and I both agree. We think we've got some cold air damming situation going on here with these clouds, but no rain. There's supposed to be a chance of showers to the southwest. Tomorrow there was a better chance of showers. It's 58 out there right now. I probably don't have the jacket that I need or might want at some point today. We'll see. This would be a great day to work out in the yard. If I were home, I would be out there digging things and putting them in. I love this weather for that. It's not a bad day for shopping because there's less glare on everything, and you know, I'm not going to get wet. I'm just going to have cooler temps and cloudy skies. So anyway, yes, I see the clouds out there today. It's not very pretty. If pretty is most important, we can all agree this is probably not as pretty. So I got myself involved in a post on X yesterday about the 2021 Infrastructure Act and surveillance monitoring of drivers in their own car to make sure they aren't driving drunk. I think that's a summary. I'm trying to keep this, while being specific, I'm also trying to keep it at a non-lawyer sounding level, if that makes sense. So apparently the Infrastructure Act, and Grok quoted me the section, it's a long 6 or 8 digit number, 242 something. I can't tell you what it is while I'm driving. I'm really missing not being able to talk to Grok. Maybe I should be in Robot or the Cybertruck. Okay, here at the stoplight, it is Act 24220. Requires impaired driving prevention technology by model year 2027 for all vehicles using camera and sensors to monitor driver alertness, sobriety, and behavior with potential vehicle intervention. And Grok went on to tell me that Lars was actually on Capitol Hill talking about it, and basically said that Tesla was fairly well poised to be able to comply to this, which is of no surprise because we have the ability already to tell if your eyes are forward, your head is up, you know, that kind of thing. I'm supposed to I don't know. I've never heard of a Tesla. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about how Tesla has the abilities Tesla already has for driver monitoring, and I wanted to talk about how people feel about this surveillance bill a little bit without getting too political, but it is in the car arena, and it does have to do with Tesla stuff, so I feel like it's fair to just lay out how people are feeling about it, and you can make up your own mind. So Lars talked on Capitol Hill about it. He said Tesla is fairly good to go. I mean, we can understand why, because all the new cars have an in-cabin camera already, and there's already software watching the driver's eyes to see if they're paying attention, and we know if there's no response from the driver that the Tesla cars will pull over to the side of the road and turn on their flashers. I am not aware of any situations where someone was driving drunk and therefore erratically, and the Tesla decided to pull them over because, you know, they thought they were having a medical emergency. Because I do think being drunk and not paying attention, it's what might be hard today to tell if it's a medical emergency or they're driving drunk. So anyway, I think Tesla's poised to do this if they need to. Well, I got myself into trouble because I basically said I both like surveillance and don't like surveillance at the same time. You know, I'm solidly often very close to the middle, okay, on a lot of arguments. And I like to think I'm tolerant, and I would like to think that I'm reasonable in listening to arguments from both sides. So All I said was, you know, I've consented to being monitored in the Tesla because I want to use FSD. I want to help gather data for FSD. I'm good with, I feel Tesla is doing a satisfactory job. I, Marianne, feel that Tesla is doing a satisfactory job protecting my data. Okay? Now look, somebody quoted me, Google's been not doing the right thing with people's data. I'm sure there's a lot, I'm sure we can find examples of companies not doing the right thing with the data. I didn't say that the data repositories that Tesla has are absolutely foolproof. I do think that Elon probably does care about the privacy and safety of our data. That, you know, I understand that that may not mean that it doesn't ever get sold or get out there. I don't know. I don't want to get into a big, long discussion about it. For me personally, I've read the terms and conditions, the T's and C's, and I'm okay with it. I get to choose that for me, right? So I drive the Tesla. Some people are going to say, ain't no way that the car is going to have a camera on me. I don't care about autonomous driving, and I'm not getting in one of those cars. And then the only thing I would say was, and I don't know a lot about other cars, but if you're driving any car with any kind of autonomy, you're probably getting surveilled so that the car knows you're there, because none of them are fully unsupervised yet. So they have to supervise you supervising. And then also, when you think about OnStar, things like Drive Safe and Save from State Farm, the flock cameras at intersections in cities all across the country being used by law enforcement, and your cell phone and the apps that you may or may not have on your cell phone, unless you're leaving your house with a 1959 Cadillac Sedan DeVille and no cell phone and no computer and no GPS and no anything, you're probably being surveilled to some extent. And still out on the street, the cameras are surveilling your license plate. So I understand. I'm just laying it. We all are being surveilled to some extent. But anyway, there are people. So this surveillance thing passed. They are going to be putting it the way this law reads. Okay, you go ask Grok about it, or your favorite information source. Okay. 24220, right, from the Infrastructure Act. You go do your education on it, but basically it sounds like it's going to require a cabin camera and other sensors in the cars so that you can be monitored that you're not driving drunk. Okay? It says surveillance, they've got to have a way to detect. Maybe you could do it just by as the car, you can monitor if the car's in the lane, you're good, staying, some parameters that you're driving straight in the lane, and maybe not. I don't know if there's other sensors without a camera, but it seems likely implementation would be head is up, eyes are on the road. So I think the stuff that we've signed up to allow autonomous driving in the Tesla and other EVs that are pushing for autonomous driving is coming to your ICE car really soon. There's nothing about EVs really that makes it easier to implement or not. A lot of the cars now have, monitors, digital, or, a display in their car. It's not just EVs now. Tesla may have had, I don't know that it was the first, but one of the biggest and first monitors. But, lots of cars have them now. Lots of cars have them. So you should read up on it and be aware. I'm just throwing it out there that this is something in the background. Apparently, if I had to say, NHTSA is dragging their feet on working with automakers on implementation by 2027. Because look, we've got 2027 cars coming out in July, August, September timeframe, and I don't think we have a clear picture of how this is going to happen. So somebody's going to have to file for an extension, I feel pretty sure. And there are people out there trying to repeal this thing or alter it in a way that is more is less surveilling, I guess. I don't know. Go do your research. There's this beautiful red Model S next to me. Older Model S. We were watching, what were we watching last night? We were watching Watson. It's both a Sherlock Holmes and a medical drama all at once. Honestly, it's a pretty good medical drama, and we really like several of the actors in it. So Dawn and I are watching it. The gentleman that plays Watson, he's great. We've seen him in a few other things. And there was a vintage classic, what did Kyle told me? Legacy, but I don't like that word. There was a 2017 to 2019, maybe 20 Model X in the show last night. It had the, old school screen, and it had chrome. And we never got a full body, well, we got a rear end look, but we never got a full body look. I don't know how, some of those model year cars, it would be really hard to tell by looking at the car what year it is. I'm sure there's a few differentiations between, say, a Raven that still had the chrome and Ruby that you could tell from the outside, but not a lot, and you'd have to really be a Tesla person to spot it, okay? But anyway, Dawn and I were, ooh, look at the pretty Model X. Oh, it looks so pretty. Oh, what year is, we were like distracted from listening to the story because we were trying to figure out the Tesla. It's fun to spot them in other stuff. Might have almost forgiven the Paradise TV show for having almost every other EV on the planet except for Tesla in that series. I might have almost forgiven that. Just want to be included too. I said a lot. I said good, what I feel I wanted to say and good stuff, but I left out my original point was, so I mentioned autonomy. And the people in this thread were like, oh my God, never, that ain't happening, because of the privacy concerns, right? I guess if it becomes unsupervised, then maybe there's less of a privacy concern, but you're not getting into a robo-taxi without Tesla filming you, so whoever does damage to the robo-taxi can be made to pay for it, charged, fined, or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if Waymo has cameras inside the vehicles or not, but I would guess that they do. And I know a lot of Uber and Lyft drivers have dual-facing dash cams for their protection. So you probably won't be using ride-sharing, ride-hailing services if you don't want to be surveilled either. But so I mentioned autonomy, and that got booed on, and then I was told I was a fool for thinking for a minute that Tesla's not abusing my data. And there were a couple other digs at me in that post. And all I basically said in the post was, I don't think this bill is a great idea either, but I've chosen to allow Tesla to collect similar data. And I'm familiar with this technology because I need it for full self-driving. But it brought out some emotions that I wasn't quite expecting. And this was from Carrie Kelly, who usually posts about food, whole food. So I had a comment yesterday on one of our recent YouTube videos about my bird fee setup, and it might be interesting to some of the rest of you. So the answer was, do you have to buy the subscription in order to use the bird fee? Camera, bird feeder, hummingbird feeder, birdhouse. I think the answer is the same for all of them. Well, the birdhouse doesn't have a subscription, I don't think, but the hummingbird feeder and any of the other regular bird feeders certainly can. And the answer is no, you don't have to have a subscription. It's kind of like Tesla. When I got the original bird feeder, you could sign up for the subscription or you could buy it outright. And I got a deal and I bought it outright for that thing. But it's not transferable to another bird feeder, I don't think. At least not without maybe stating your case to support. It's not intended to be transferable. And yeah, so... But I think now they only have subscription plans. I'm not aware of being able to buy it. So I think you're just going to get I think it's a 7-day trial, and then you either buy or don't buy the subscription. So when I bought the original bird feeder, and we have such a wide variety of birds here that having the AI identify is kind of cool. It helps me specifically with when I am going to pull files I want to include for video edit, that I can see in the app. I can go look for videos by bird. So if I want to see all the bluebird visits today, it tells me I had 8 visits, and it tells me if they're, when I go to look at them, if they were a male or a female now, although that's new. It didn't used to identify sex, I don't believe. I just kind of all of a sudden one day I'm like, oh wow, it's telling me which one it is now. Now I already knew, but still that was kind of cool. So for that, but if you know your birds, you don't need the AI subscription. It will still record the video, and it will still send you an email that, a bird has visited your feeder. Now for me, I'm having, I don't know, a low day would be 60 visits, and a high day over the winter, I think I had like close to 200 visits one day. So I'm not sure I really need a text. It's not actually an email. Well, you can set it up however you want to receive your notifications, but I get just notifications from the app. So it's not a text message, but the app notifies me on my phone. I don't know if you can turn it on your desktop, but I don't have a lot of stuff turned on the desktop because my phone is usually still right beside me. But at any point, I get notified that they're there. You'll just say, a bird has visited your feeder versus, a bluebird has visited your feeder. And sometimes it doesn't, it varies the message because it doesn't want to sound boring, right, I guess. So the answer is no, you don't have to have the subscription. We only have one type of hummingbird here on a regular basis in central North Carolina, and that's a ruby-throated hummingbird. So if the hummingbird I'm showing you has red on its neck, it's ruby-throated male. And if it doesn't have red on its neck, it's a ruby-throated female. And we have both visiting the hummingbird feeder now. And I knew that, if I lived in the mountains of North Carolina where there are 3 or 4 varieties of hummingbirds, or in another part of the country where there was multiple hummingbird species, then it would be of interest to me to have it identify which one, especially since I only know what ruby-throated look like because of where I live, right? So, but I don't have the subscription on that because I didn't feel I needed it. And I can always turn it on. That's the nice thing, is you can always add it or remove it. So, and I just wanted to say that, the suet feeder and the bird bath are Ring cameras. I don't know how Ring feels about me using their camera to monitor birds, but those are Ring cameras, and not the latest and greatest, and not the old one. It's kind of an in the middle, Outdoor Cam Pro or Outdoor Cam Plus, something like that. They put it on sale regularly for a pretty decent price, and I've been picking them up and adding them. But that camera works really well at about a 1 to 2 foot distance, 3 feet for the birds. The older camera that fits in that bluebird house obviously is blurry, and that's not as good a thing. But I'm just saying, you could also try a Ring camera on an existing bird feeder or bird whatever versus absolutely having a bird feed. And yeah, so that works pretty good. And Ring now has AI. So on the pole where that big woodpecker comes, the AI seems to be able to say, you have a woodpecker, on a metal cage at your blah, 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 a bird pole location. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. That's cool. So I have AI monitoring turned on there. Well, I'm pulled in the wrong way today, but we're going to pull in right here. Just be backwards because I'm in a rush, and there's a Model S. Well, I had a good PEMF session. Massaging my lower back, and I'm gonna head over to Lowe's now. I'm probably gonna have to get the jacket out of the back of my car because sitting there and relaxing, I really cooled off from my morning hustling around doing chores that had me heated up, and I'm noticing the cooler air now. Ruby says it's 61. if I get one more receipt at Lowe's this month. There is a small dove not doing a good job. It flew away. I'll have my $10 and $10 gift certificate from Amazon if I upload one more receipt from Lowe's or Home Depot. So away I go, and I'm probably just looking at clearance. See if I see anything I like. I thought the perennials and the Japanese maple turned out really good in the retaining wall that Don had built when I installed them last night. I was pleased. I think 6 was a good number. I did decide not to split them. You know, they can always be dug up and split later if I really felt so inclined. We'll see how it does. I don't, know for sure, obviously, what it'll look like in 2 or 3 years, but they can always be divided later. Perennials are good that way. Of course, having the time, energy, and inclination to do it is a whole nother story. I hope the door's open this morning. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but you never know. You never know. And yeah, it's open. Good. Phew. It's so busy out in front of the store, it's hard to tell from a distance if it's open until you're almost right on top of it. This amount of rain won't keep us from working outside this afternoon. But obviously we'll have to play it by ear this afternoon. We continue to have a few drips. There's no shortage of beautiful plants, both in the regular areas and on carts around the garden center. I've picked up these 2 clearance plants. It's a perennial. I think an African daisy. I got it 1 last week and 2 more, probably around the bird bath when we get the dirt in there and get the wall built. This couple has rented a truck and is taking home, I think, outdoor fence panels. I suppose they could be the kind of railings you put on an upstairs landing and affix securely somehow, looking down over a first floor room. It's hard to tell. But they have rented a truck to take their panels home. So I also bought 2 New Guinea impatiens. I will get them in the pot that they go in tonight. That's one of my things. I've got some coleus to plant. I've got the 2 tea olives that I bought the other day to put in the ground. I've got some Japanese maple pots that need a bit more of the mix added, and I have a little bit of mix left. So I've kind of gotten I'm organized about what I would be working on while Dawn is at the bird bath area. But I really do have to give some thought as to whether or not I'm going to put pots back in that area or put everything in the what will now be a raised bed. I'm thinking less pots. But a few pots that I've already planted could just stay on the back side to help put a barrier between the deer and the Japanese maple that are back there. So I'm leaning toward in the front where the new dirt is and stuff, planting fun things in the ground like those African daisies, but in the back, leaving the pots that I have already planted with salvia and such, the way they are, just kind of as a block. The deer will jump and they will go out of their way sometimes, but they're gonna go like everybody for the easiest thing they can get to, and if you've put stuff in their way, there's at least a chance that'll help, in my opinion. I know they can jump really tall fences and stuff to get into your area if you fence it off, but they're supposed to not like rough stuff on the ground, and I'm willing to lose things in pots that they would graze as they walk by versus them getting, the real plant that I really care about long term. I have one last thought on the surveillance topic from earlier, and it's also a little more wider spread too. We seem to make a statement about a problem We have people driving drunk would be the problem in this case. And then we seem to draw a conclusion. Adding monitoring to cars will reduce drunk driving accidents and car fatalities. And in some cases, our statement and our solution, our problem statement and our solution statement, they end up lining up pretty well, and we fix what we tried to fix. But in some other things, I find that we tend to not really understand unintended consequences of making one change and then understanding how that ripples across. So I don't know what those would be in this area besides, possible Fourth Amendment violations. But there's, possible that there would be some unintended consequences. I don't know. I guess one that I could think of is, not all surveillance and software and hardware will be the same, because, automakers have to comply, but they don't have to all implement it exactly the same way, at least not as thou that act is written today. So an unintended consequence would be some not so great software cutting off somebody from driving when they're not drunk and they are trying to get to the emergency room for a different kind of a medical emergency. Maybe that's still okay if it's dialing 911 and they're getting the help they need, but another could be we have to have this surveillance not only on cars manufactured by U.S. manufacturers. Let's just say that Ford, GM, and Tesla are safe to put software on our cars that has some sort of camera. And I'm not going to name names here, but maybe we put on cameras and surveillance from cars that are manufactured in other countries that don't have American best interests at heart, and they end up abusing the data that they weren't supposed to be abusing. Even though everyone may be doing something with our data, I trust, I guess I would lean toward trust. Some are more trustworthy than others. Let's just say it like that. I'm sure some are more trustworthy or doing less wrong things with the data than others. I don't know I'm not saying who those are or exactly how that would be, but, and then, would there be a real reduction? Would the problem actually be solved by this? And what happens if we do a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year review and there's been no reduction in drunk driving accidents or fatalities, but we've invested, there was a standard Model Y, and maybe the first one I've seen on the road, and noticed that the entire light bar wasn't there. I saw one at Tesla when we picked up the Cybertruck, but I had not seen one in person. So I just really got to be careful with trying to fix every single problem for every single person on all kinds of topics, I think, because sometimes the fixes, they don't just fix the problem, but they do other stuff too, and we just need to be aware of what that other stuff might be. Just more food for thought. I gotta stop and breathe for a minute sometimes on solutions before we implement them. I think Ruby will be fine there today. There weren't a whole ton of spots I was happy with that were easy to back into or park in. I actually had to work on that one a little bit. So here's a Tesla Hertz car. And this is probably a locally owned Mustang. And here's a Kia, what is it, a Niro? Yep, with a Virginia plate, so I would say Hertz. And here's a newer Highland Model 3, and that spot over there normally is local here to shop. I do have a donation I need to make, so we'll drive around back today and see who's plugged in or not plugged in. So if you needed pretty wood in your fireplace that you were never going to burn, or I suppose if you were going to make a table centerpiece, that's not something I see at the thrift store every day. Stuffy's needed new home, buy one get one free today, but I don't see a lot of Squishmallows to choose from, so I don't think I can help today. All these formal dresses are $10 today. I mean, seriously, some nice stuff. I kind of like the back on this, or is that, yeah, that is what, I don't know. I don't like it as much now that I've looked at it close, but it's interesting. It's pretty colors, all kinds of. That one will stay up. It has one shoulder. I like it. It's a little short, but I like the one shoulder to keep it in place. Better than the no total sleeveless. That's pretty. I like that top too. Just make it in red. So I bought 2 small plant pots, a piece of amethyst, which was 79 cents, and an art portfolio thing for Ariel for $3. So there's 2 Hertz Model 3s now that are both black. I'm headed around back to make my drop off now and then head over to Whole Foods. Yeah, you know, I'm always looking, when I say plant pots, ones that are outside, so therefore I need a hole, so the rain that we get in great quantities sometimes won't drown and kill whatever my plants are. If I were looking for plant pots inside, I would be looking for ones without a hole, so that it would not ruin my furniture and would catch any overflow that I could then go dump out. But anyway, I got 2 small white and blue pots with a hole. Ben and I had a good laugh. I donated about 10 pair of pants. And I said they all came from here and they're all coming back here. So let's see. We've got a bolt. I see a bolt in the row there, whether you guys could see it or not. And we will see. Nobody behind me. There's an EV6, and I actually don't know what the car that's at the charger is. Not anything I recognized. Alright, over to Whole Foods we go. It's warmed up to a whopping 61 now. Well, now that the sun is out, it's a little warmer. Feels a little nicer. Little breeze going. Air feels pretty clean, fresh today. Well, this is one of those days where it's going to be really hard to get my groceries in, Ruby, because if I try to put them in the front, the cart keeps wanting to roll down the hill. I basically can't keep the cart in place. And in order to get them to the back or in the side, I can't get the cart over there. I'm the one that backed in, but it's rare for 2 people to park on both sides. One or the other I can deal with, but both sides is just basically it's a mess. Well, humanity is redeemed. I was getting my groceries over to my car as best I could, and the girl on my left here, a nice young girl, she smiled, waved, and went and parked somewhere else. She was just sitting in her car so that I could get to my trunk. So that was appreciated. Even if I park a little closer like a normal person, the hill's over there too. So unless you have the curb, or it's almost like the carts need a break over here. They need to have a way to lock them in place. Because if you don't have a second person with you to hold the cart, I rely on catching it in the cement seam up here so that it doesn't roll down the hill while I'm loading my groceries. Well, I am headed home via Realo Drugs in Fuquay to pick up the doxycycline prescription. So it did get here Tuesday, which is what they had told me to expect when I talked to them on Thursday. And in this case, that was okay. And I've already given, you know, Dr. Cotton a little bit of feedback about how all this getting a compounded prescription works. Is really not a bad process at all. And I'm glad Realo is willing to do it, and it seems to be a reasonable price, and you kind of know what you expect with them and stuff. It just, the only time it really wouldn't be good is you've got a pet with a serious, I need it today emergency. I suppose for me as a Tesla owner, I would just see if I could drive to New Bern and pick it up. I'd just hop in my EV and I'd go over there. But that's not going to work for a lot of people. You just need to plan on 48 hours. Sun was out for a while and now it's back in. Since I've come up with a whole list of exactly what I'm going to do in the yard, I sure hope the weather cooperates. I'll get home and fixed on something to eat, and then we'll get moving. Well, I just finished book 1 and I'm getting ready to start book 2. There's 4 books total. The Audible book for book 4 comes out sometime in May, so hopefully there won't be too many days wait between book 3 and book 4. You know, I read all Bobby Akart stuff, countless collections, series, and it says in the thing he's like number 25 of Amazon's best-selling author list. So apparently me and a lot of other people read him. Any of you read any of his stuff? I'd start with Yellowstone. Yellowstone is good. Virus Hunters is good. They're all good. Anyway, this one I had mentioned a few weeks ago that had a little bit to do with a comment. It's also a little bit of a discourse on just exactly how transparent should the government be about scientific findings. For example, are there really extraterrestrial creatures? What do we know or not know? You know, if there's really a climate issue that's going to affect a bunch of people, do we tell folks in advance or just it happens? There's kind of an argument in this book that a comment isn't really a comment. And what should we tell people and when should we tell it and how do we shape the narrative? And it's good. It's good. Is it his best one? I don't know. Book 1's, you know, it takes a while due to the scientific nature of the books. The first 3 or 4 or 5 chapters are sort of like he throws so much at you, you're just trying to acclimate and get your footing. By the end of book 1, you're usually well entrenched and understand the direction. So I'm certainly looking forward to the other 3 books at this time. I have no idea where it's going, how it's going to work out, what he's going to do. And it's quite timely with the comet in our own solar system now, passing our sun. So anyway. Well, Don, Stripe, and I all had us a little nap in the house. I got the video from yesterday sent to render. And I'm out here to do some yard work while looking at the Cybertruck. I was going to pull it out, but I guess maybe now that I have more room to get to stuff and I've rearranged things, I can just work here in front of it since it's so cool and it's not too sunny. I think that's all I need to do. I got lots of little stuff to do today. Hopefully I can be productive for 2 or 3 hours before I go in and cook dinner. It's going on 4:30. Yeah, Stripe's a cool cat. He comes in, it's like, yeah, afternoon nap time, and he goes and he stretches out over there on top of the Lego bins where the blanket is and has him a little nap. And then when Mom gets up, he hops down. I'm like, you ready to go? And he's like, I am. Let's go. Let's go out in the yard. First up is I've got 2 Japanese maples that need that dirt. I don't know if it'll use it all up. It's going to be close one way or the other on. So what's the over-under on? I have just enough or I don't have enough. Whatever little bit that's left, hopefully I'll put in a pot somewhere. Now, I'm not trying to scare Morris, but unfortunately... Hi! Hello, sweetie pea. Hi! He goes, it's medicine time, isn't it, Mom? I'm afraid. It's getting close. I needed to walk over here to the plant pot that I need. Here's the 2 pots I got at Guardian Angel today, and this little thing is gonna probably have a bunch of little pots on it. Alright, so here's one, and then that one just needs a little bit. So we gonna get our first stone in the ground today?
Yeah, well, I'm sure we might even get like 2.
Okay, first row, something. We're starting stones today is all I'm trying to say.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to temporarily relocate the bird bath to this spot right here. I'm going to go get a flat stone and put right here. And then I'm going to put a put my piece of rebar there with the string and measure out so I can get an arc, a circle, and go from there.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that you need the center
Yeah,
to get your bearings on the curve.
Right. Well, and maybe not so much after the first curve will be good. Well, I don't know. It's the thing is the way this thing is pretty aggressive slope, so we won't have very much of a curve. That first curve will be pretty short. The second one will be a couple bricks longer each side, and the third one might be, you know, like you said, halfway around. It's hard to say. That's why I'm saying I best have something to keep me in the right direction instead of just winging it.
Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
Why you need a string or something from the center.
That's right.
Cool. So the New Guinea impatiens are going in this guy. I guess it's really a fox and not a cat, but it's cute. And the coleus is going in the 2 big pots. I decided that those 2 pots are plenty nice and I don't need to go buy another pot. I guess they're not identical, but they're both super sturdy. You gonna keep me company? He got up there all by himself. Hi. Every afternoon he comes out. That's Marty. And he comes over here and he scratches on this piece of plastic. He sharpens his nails and he's all happy about it. We just kind of have that laying there, not for any particular reason, but it's kind of stuck there now because Marty likes it. His coleus got some fine roots. I am noticing, though, that none of the places want to sell the small, less expensive, plenty of time to grow over the summer spring plants. They're all trying to sell middle of summer, end of summer size now. More profit for them, I guess. Amazon driver in the Rivian van. I mean, seriously, if they pull up to the window, then back the butt over here, then they can just swing on out. It's easy for him. He says the backup cameras in that thing are great. It's so much safer for residents and drivers in the newer vans with better cameras and safety technology, and the way they stow the boxes in there safer and everything. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I just realized there's a little bit missing there on the side. Let's get that covered up. So I've got them potted and I'm going to go move them where I want them. This is going on my glass tabletop with the Japanese maples over there, and these are going in the vicinity but not on the table. Shady spots. This is shade loving coleus. I had really beautiful flowers over here last year, but you know, it didn't start out that way. They kind of got added to as the summer went on. So I know I got the 3 trees up there and it might not be quite as full as last year, but give me a little time, I'm sure as the summer goes on and there's a clearance plant here and there and stuff, I'll have it looking real good. So I hear you're having fun with rocks.
Yeah, you got them. We have a great rock garden. You didn't have to buy any rocks. Look, I dug you plenty of rocks.
That came out of there.
Right there.
You're
Right where I needed to put my next block.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It was, you know, if it would have been an inch lower, I wouldn't have had to fool with it. But no, it had to stick up about a ½ inch.
Well, I like those pretty quartz rocks, so you did good getting it out of the ground for me.
Oh, well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome so much.
I guess the guy up the hill is feeding his birds.
Yeah,
not the guy behind us, but the other neighbor with birds. He's
already fed his.
Yeah, did they go off for a while?
Oh yeah, I heard him a while ago.
Yeah, you could. They get excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I get excited when you feed me too. Well, I've got the first course. Maybe I'm going to put one more here on that end, and it'll go completely. But this one on this end is that bottom one is completely under the dirt. So I guess I'll do one more on this end. So that's the first 2 courses. I don't think I'll finish it tomorrow, which is Wednesday. But if I make the kind of progress tomorrow that I made today, I might be done with it Thursday. As far as the blocks, you know, filling it with dirt and all that other stuff, but the actual digging in the ground and laying the block, I think it's very possible Thursday I'll be done.
By the time we finished out there, it was 8:30 and it was dark. I got one of my tea olives planted and I got the hole dug for the other. But I need more mix of, you know, pine bark mulch, perlite, and peat to mix in the second hole before I can stick the plant in the ground. That dirt over there was dry and not the best dirt. Anyway, I'll put these hamburgers up against any hamburgers. Pretty darn good.